Hello, welcome back to Convince Cal. I'm Dan, and I'm joined by Cal. Hello, Cal.
That's lucky, isn't it?
It is, and I'm trying to convince you that a certain game that I'm currently playing, that I'm enjoying quite a lot, that I don't feel that you would, is actually possibly, maybe, probably worth your time.
Maybe. You should try and convince me.
We've had a couple of successes so far with RimWorld, with Stardew Valley.
Stardew doesn't count, Daniel.
It does.
I was already playing it.
We did another one as well for Wastelanders 3.
Which was
alright. That one might not be up yet. Yeah, it's good, right? Yeah. It's good. So, I'm not quite as hopeful for this one, but it's a game that I'm absolutely loving at the moment. So, Callum, I'm going to reveal this to you.
Reveal it, big boy.
3, 2, 1. Boom.
Dyson Sphere Program, DSP.
This is DSP.
This is
Dyson Sphere Program. And this is an early access game, as indicated by
6.16.5775.
My favourite version.
It seems I've heard good things.
I mean, I know you can have version 1 and below, and this is my personal favourite. So
it's a standout one.
This is what we're going to have a look at today. So, Callum, first things first, a Dyson Sphere theoretically is something that does exist in the real world.
Yeah, they make Hoovers.
No. And it wasn't invented by that Dyson, but the concept of it was by a Dyson, but I think it was in like the 60s or something. But the concept of a Dyson Sphere, do you know what that is?
I'm assuming it's to do with gravity.
No.
Oh, then no.
What? Wait, why would you assume it had anything to do with gravity?
Because it looks like it's in space.
It is in space, you're quite correct on that, yes.
Is it to do with stars?
Yes, it is. It is to do with stars.
Oh.
If you were to hazard a guess as to what an incredibly intrinsically difficult endeavour would be with a star, what would that be?
To harness it.
Correct, Callum. That's exactly correct.
I can tell you, I'm not smart, Dan. This thing looks like a bit of a harness.
Like it's a sun strap-on
with what looks
not
like
a strap-on,
hey, wait,
you know
what?
I mean.
But what looks like arc reactors holding it together.
Funnily enough, again, this is a concept that was, I think it was in the 50s or 60s or something like that. It's usually an astrophysicist or a physicist that comes up with this. But funnily enough, there is an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation where they find a Dyson Sphere in space. But you're quite right. Oh, there you go. As if by magic, that is the point of it. You surround a star with a structure, so it would, in essence, capture every single bit of energy that star would output. Because obviously on Earth we've got solar panels, but obviously we're capturing the tiniest percentage of the actual solar radiation and solar energy that's coming from the sun on Earth. The difficulty is that to do something like this, we don't have the technology to even begin. Like, this is like a 5,000 year project that you'd have to do to create something as complicated as this.
Is that how long you've been playing it?
It feels like it. But if you were to pull it off, you would in essence have unlimited power. And
unlimited power!
I mean, if the Death Star was anything, it could very well have been a Dyson Sphere. Because instead of going for crystals or some bullshit, or, Starkiller Base, that's in essence kind of what Starkiller is. Because like when that blows up, there's like a sun inside it. I know it collects energy from a sun or whatever, but that would be probably a good way of making a real-life Death Star. Build it around a sun, because that's your energy. Boom, straight away. But the aim of the game, Callum, is to build a Dyson Sphere, or possibly many Dyson Spheres. So, in order
already
to do so,
hate it.
I knew you would. So, this here,
Bumblebee.
This is us. So we've been sent by the peoples of Earth to create.
Prime.
I wish he did transform, if I'm honest, because I think he's got the kind of
sphere.
into the look. No. A Dyson Sphere is like.
Are we in an exosuit or are we a robot?
No, we are a robot.
Right.
But we have landed on this planet. Now, I'm not going to show you this from the beginning because, good God, does it take a lot of grinding to get anywhere. But I wanted to show you what I've been doing so far.
It looks like a city.
And it is, in essence, because all of these, none of these aren't roads and little cars, Callum. These are conveyor belts carrying resources around. And as you can see from the size...
Automobiles.
No, I did think that you'd build cities and stuff in it, but it's a good job that you can't, because good fucking Christ, it would be even more complicated than it already is. But
wacky wave inflatable arm tube men.
yeah, that's what they are. They're definitely not wind turbines generating wind power. No, definitely not. But the aim of the game, obviously, as I said, is to build a Dyson sphere, but you need to do a lot to get to that point,
right.
Of course. So we have to start with these. So these are veins of ore. This is copper, there's iron, there's titanium, there's stone and coal and stuff like that, all over all the planets in this particular solar system. And then when you get warp drive, other planets as well, and other solar systems. So
you've done all this and you haven't got warp drive?
No, not yet.
Shit the fucking bed.
I tell you what, this is the newest thing that I've got, this thing here, which is an interstellar logistics platform.
Obviously.
So what this is doing is there's another planet in this solar system that has titanium as veins on it, like this copper here, right? And the planet I'm on doesn't have veins of titanium. And I need the titanium for more advanced research. So I had to build... So what I was doing, because what we can do is we can go into flight mode, and then we can leave
so
our little
you
planet.
Don't have a ship?
No, we are the ship, mate. See, look, so there's our little planet. We've got this gas giant that's directly next to us here. But it's easier for sort of like flying around and getting to the other side of the planet a bit quicker. But what I've been doing is, as you can see from the sun here, all these things that are currently circling the sun are solar sails. So what they're doing is that they're actually collecting sunlight and like solar energy and wirelessly transferring it back to life, back to the
reality,
back to the island. Yeah, there you go. Back to life, back to the islands. Yeah, there you go. There's a little clip from Ark. There you go. But look here, these are some supply ships currently bringing titanium over from my other planet back home. And as you can see, these little blue lasers that are zipping past me right now, they are adding new solar sails to the orbit. Now, nothing can kill you in this. It's not enemies or anything. But this is the current thing that we're doing at the moment. So currently I've got 584 solar sails in orbit.
85 now.
Oh. Well, I mean, they constantly go. But so that little trail of blue dots coming in, those are all the new solar sails, and I've added a few different orbits, because the more orbits that you have, the more energy you're capturing from various... But they don't have a huge shelf life on them. So
I'm already getting a brain aneurysm from the amount of fucking things that are going on in this game.
Well, you haven't even seen the best part of it yet, which is what I've actually had to build to... And I'm sure that there are people who play this, like, properly, like, do you know what I mean? And they know what they're doing, and they play Factorio and that kind of stuff, and they really plan this sort of shit through, and they keep everything very efficient and stuff, which is all very well and good, but I don't really like those kinds of games. But the idea of building a Dyson sphere really quite excited me, so I thought, I'll give that a bloody go.
Can I make a request that we never do a Convince Cal on Factorio?
I haven't bought it, mate. I'm really not interested in it.
I already know my feelings on that game.
So, these are our EM rail projectors. So think of these as railguns. And as you can see...
What are they shooting?
They are shooting our little solar sails
into
orbit around the sun. How cool is that? And like they follow the actual orbits of the sun that you program in. So like you add a new orbit in, and then they get fed these solar sails, and then they will constantly fire those into their selected solar orbit for that thing. So, in order to get these solar sails to them, then we have all the solar sails here. But you can't just bloody find them on the street, mate. You've got to create them.
Oh, what?
Actually, tons. That's fine.
That's madness.
In order to make a solar sail, let's follow the conveyor belt. Because now, it's, as you can see, it's on multiple levels now because it's so fucking busy and hectic.
It's like Amazon.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine that this is what the interior of an Amazon warehouse looks like. It's just all shit that's feeding into other shit that's doing other things and whatever. But like, so it's basically, so we could follow, pick a thing. We've got copper, we've got iron, and we've got stone over here. Pick a resource, and we'll follow a single piece of resource along its journey through this mental. Okay, let's go with iron then, shall we? Okay.
I also forgot what the other ones was.
That's fine. So, iron initially, it gets dug out of the ground, right here, from the mining facility. It goes through the smelter to get turned into iron
ingots.
Exactly, the classic iron ingots.
Thank you, Minecraft.
Oh yeah. So this is that's a cross section of that's water that's coming through from the sea over there, but that gets fed into an acid factory that gets mixed with a bunch of other stuff.
An acid factory.
So, yeah, it's creating some sort of sulfuric acid that you use as components for other bits and pieces. We'll get there, mate. Don't worry about it. So
I was really worried.
That comes through our little. I do quite like the sort of like the cargo systems and stuff like that. So there's a few different levels of sorters. So these are the things that are pulling each package and then dropping it to a new place. So that's your slowest one, medium one, fastest one. So your fastest ones, those you want sort of like at the end of a conveyor system because it's just whipping everything in. But if you've got, so say if there's like this stream of water that's going into the factory over there, if there was another thing that you had here that you also wanted to use for water, instead of having the fastest one, which would pull all of the water off the conveyor belt into your factory here, use a slower one, and it would get every second one, or every third one, or every fourth one. So you can split them apart quite easily without having to like separate the actual conveyors out or separate out like have the pumps coming through a different system. So iron goes through our smelter, goes into these storage things here. So from there, it gets pulled through one of the two assemblies over here to make some of our most base components. So we've got some, I think they're magnetic coils and some computer chips. So the iron and the copper ingots, as well as some oil seals, like magnets. Sorry, that get pulled into this one. That one's also pulling iron ore from these two crates, which is connected to this big ass conveyor belt leading to this iron section over there, and that's about to run out of resources soon. But when they all get combined, so you can build, like you can make these components, some of them individually. So like if I get a magnet and a copper ingot in my little replicator, I can manually combine them to make a magnetic coil. But because that is such a pain in the dick, you want an assembler to do it for you automatically. So then when that iron and that copper and whatever becomes a electromagnet, it gets sorted by this, because you have to... Oh! My solar sails have increased by 150 seconds. Hooray! But it'll get sorted through there. And it will get fed into these storages here. Now again, this is where I sort of started off, which is why these are all sort of like basic storage things and they're not particularly tidy or whatever. But they get stored in here as well as titanium beams, which are pulling titanium from the interstellar logistics thingy. But they get fed into here, which creates research, this blue research. It's not on there at the moment because I'm stocking up on magnets and shit. And then use these blue matrices as research, and then that's what unlocks new abilities for your mech or new buildings to build and shit like that.
But not transforming abilities.
Unfortunately not. We can fly and we can get warp drive, but we can't do that yet. But I tell you what is the biggest pain in the dick that's been for me so far is this thing here, the fractionator, which sounds like a shit Terminator.
I was going to say, it sounds like somebody from American Pie.
It's no, it's not. So basically, there's like oil reservoirs on the planet. So I've got all the oil that's going into these oil refineries here, and when it refines 10 crude oil, which is like 10 of these little boxes, it turns it into 2 refined oil and 1 hydrogen atom. So the key is that we want a big load of crude oil coming through these refineries to separate it into refined oil and into hydrogen. The refined oil goes into these tanks here, and the hydrogen we squirrel away into like so that on the export thing here. So that's the crude oil and the hydrogen coming out here. It gets sent down this main conveyor belt, and then the hydrogen gets split off here, and the crude oil comes through this sort of here, because then we've got hydrogen just coming out this port hole.
There's not going to be a pop quiz at the end of this, is there?
On all of it. On all of it. I expect you to talk me through on how to make red matrix science.
You might have to go back to
life back to reality.
This is Dyson.
Sorry. All right. Yeah. To life, back to the islands. So hydrogen that gets filtered through here. Thank you. So basically, this fractionator, what it does, it takes like one hydrogen, or like you've got to run like a constant stream of it through. So you need to set up this really weird system of having everything like double back on itself, because then as it goes through, it goes through so many hydrogen for a chance to make deuterium. A chance. So deuterium is like a really rare substance, but you use it to make like high-powered batteries and whatever.
Milkshakes.
So you've got to go through all this bullshit, like filtering. Oh, there you go. There's one deuterium on its way. But all this hydrogen is stored in here. But luckily, because this fractionator actually helps create additional hydrogen, so you can keep it on a like a constant stream going through it, but it will also create more of it as well. And we need that to use to make energy matrices. And they again, it's more like it unlocks additional levels of science and shit, extra stuff that you could research. I love these things. They're just so cool, like blasting their little shits up. So over here, what was I making over here? I think this just was. Oh yeah. So one of the newer things that I need at the moment. So we've got diamonds that we're getting crushed down from carbon, which comes from coal, but we use the diamonds. We need diamonds and this stuff here, titanium crystals. So we need organic crystals and titanium.
Your research speed is too slow.
It is, and I really can't be asked to fix it, because it works at exactly the amount of speed that I want it to. So that's all I need it to do. But for some reason, and I don't know why, all the titanium builds up in this bottom storage thing. And I think it's because it's not full, it doesn't automatically start sending it to the one above. And unfortunately, the titanium ingot output that I've got is on the second story, which is a pain in the arse, because now I need to transfer it all in manually.
That's such a typical Dyson sphere problem.
It's first world, the extreme first world problems.
To the max.
So then when all of the titanium ingots come back over here, it will start mixing with, because I think we need the diamond and the titanium crystals to make something. I think it's for this. Yeah. So we need.
Well, if you don't know.
So this is like a next level. This is science matrix. So in here we've got all of the diamonds ready to go in, but the titanium crystals are a bit more of a pain in the arse, because like the titanium's not an issue because I've got a constant stream of that now, but the organic crystals that go in here, oh god, it's just. And like I didn't realise, obviously crude oil is a liquid, but you can store liquids in the normal like containers, like a supply box, but it doesn't keep as much because obviously it's not designed for it. So I've just got tons of oil just stored in these things. I want to get rid of this whole thing because it looks like a shit apartment complex.
How long have you been playing this?
Like 30 hours.
Is that it?
Yeah. But where's the research screen? Let's have a bloody look, shall we? Here we go. So bear in mind this is early access, so there's only more to come. So this is all the research that I've done so far.
Oh fuck.
And then all the way up here, and that's mission complete. So like you need, so basically it's just the rules of any normal sort of like crafting game, I guess.
Theoretically, like where the mouse is now, don't you just need to do a straight line?
Yeah, I mean potentially. So I mean like planetary ionosphere utilization.
Yeah.
But to do that, I need 2,000 of these sciences each. So obviously I've only recently unlocked structure matrices, but now I need gravity matrices. So I was like, oh fucking hell, which one do I need to unlock to be able to make gravity matrices? Do you know what I mean? So everything has, but in order to do one thing,
you can't just go, I'll do this one, then this one, and then this one. You've got to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so that's like your main quest research tree. That's where it's like to complete the game. In so many words, that's what you'd have to accomplish. But all of this shit on the other side is what you also need as well.
But as this is in early access, once you've built a Dyson sphere, what is the longevity of doing it again?
These are all the mech upgrades, by the way.
Oh fucking hell!
So I've got like this tiny amount of them so far. But so this is our star around the planet that we are currently in at the moment. So we're pushing almost 800. And I think when you get to like a certain amount of solar sails or something like that, that's when it starts to turn into a Dyson sphere cluster. Like it starts to make the shell around the sun, which is what we saw on the menu. You know, when it's starting to physically build a structure. These are all just in orbits at this point. But this is our planet, and this is our star. There's my little ships coming in from the other planet over there. But from that star system, there are all these other stars.
Fucking hell.
So you can build a Dyson sphere around all of these other stars.
What do you gain from it, though?
Problem-solving abilities, the ability to look at something like this and go, this seems interesting. How can I make this more efficient? But that's the thing, because you're not like your planet's under attack or there's going to be an earthquake and you lose half your shit. It's just, it's just trying to be efficient and,
I know you're going to take offense at this, but it seems very, like, obviously not graphically and stuff, but this seems like a game that would be ideal for a mobile.
No, I disagree. I don't think you could do this on a mobile.
No,
phone.
I don't
Never
mean
in a million years.
This particular game, just the fact of it's like a constant thing that's always, hey, there's some shippies land. Do you know what I mean? I don't quite know how to put it into.
It's constant busy work, is what it is.
It's like tap and play games where you gotta wait a few hours before you can unlock a.
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of thing, but obviously that doesn't exist in this. Like, it's not, everything's not on a timer. Like, you build your own way. People like these kinds of games because they get to plan out how they would want an efficient way to build a Dyson sphere to be. And I'm sure that there'll be people who watch this who go, "What the fuck is this?
Like me.
Like your whole crude oil system over here. This is completely inefficient, and these should all be together, and then there should be a fractionator 3-to-1."
That's what I was
this
thinking.
whole yeah, of course you were. I knew you were just too polite to say anything though. But it's starting from the most bottom rung of just like when you start, you just land on a planet like this, and you just like harvesting trees, then a few rocks, and you do like a few pieces of coal individually, and then you get the rewards towards the end, or after you put like a huge amount of hours in, where you have like a completely self-sufficient, self-replicating planet that will do everything that it needs to do because you've programmed it right. It's like writing code, basically. So like, I know that there are breaks in this code if this was to be like a functional program. Like with the titanium, it's not working properly because as soon as the titanium in the top storage things runs out, it won't feed titanium any longer into that machine over there. And as soon as that stops, it won't create titanium crystals, which won't feed into the energy matrix, the matrix lab, and then that won't give me additional things
that
of
goes without saying.
Science. It does, but that's the thing. It's like it's constantly fighting fires. Do you know what I mean? It's like SimCity builders and stuff like that. It's planning it out. It's making it efficient. So like now that I've got as far as I have on this one, if I do build a Dyson sphere on this star, maybe I'll travel to a different system and I'll start from scratch. But that planet might be more difficult. There might not be water on it. There might not be a certain type of thing, and I've got to do interstellar travel. And it's building and building and building and building until you've fully gotten everything that you possibly can do from it, and then you can just start again. Do you know what I mean? But there's I do like the with things like this, when there is like an additional level of challenge. But I feel that you kind of take away from just the satisfying nature of just watching an efficient machine work, which this isn't, by the way, because I know that there's certain things that I've just sort of bodged together and I haven't really understood how the game works properly and fucked myself over. But, I'm sure that there will be like videos on YouTube where people have played this for like hundreds of hours and they know exactly how to build, what's more efficient, how to set things up, how to get through things quickly in order to get you to that ultimate task of building your Dyson sphere. And that in itself is what the reward is. It's like, and plus I just like this. It's just seeing that like all these little solar sails around the planet.
It's a cool concept.
And all all the bullshit that I've had to go through just to get them there. It's a right pain in the arse. But at the same time, it's just sort of like, yeah, there's something about this that's just really, because it's very relaxing. Like the music's really quite pretty, and the concepts behind like how everything fits together, and like you do X and Y to equal Z, and then Z becomes X, and then you add that with Y to get a new Z. It's that kind of just sort of like crafting. It's just crafting in its purest form. Do you know what I mean? You're taking resources to make a thing, to make a thing, to make a thing, to make a thing, and that exponentially goes onwards until you complete something phenomenal, like creating an actual Dyson sphere. Because then obviously this would supply enough power to send you off to a different solar system, and then you could start all over again from there, but you've got all the supplies from this solar system to focus back in
on that one.
Exactly. So it's a never-ending cycle of sort of building and adapting and just making things work more efficiently. And personally, I like problem solving. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's why I like my job, because in essence, at its core, it's problem solving.
As a Dyson sphere constructor.
Well, this is the thing. I don't think this is something that's ever realistic. Like, you could never do this within humanity's lifetime, I don't think. No. We'd kill ourselves out long before we get to the point where we could do shit like this. But even so, like, it would be a project that would take thousands of years to actually fill, like, to complete, sorry. Yeah. But there's just, there's something quite relaxing. It's like it's this beautiful sun, and then, you've created your own orbits, and, like, here's all my little sails just sort of, like, hanging around, just... giving my planet power. It's very big in scope, and I really like just the simplicity of it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, as much as you like it, Dan, hasn't convinced me.
I knew this one wouldn't. I just wanted a reason to talk about Dyson's program.
Don't get me wrong. Like the idea of it's quite cool, and it's something that I'd never heard of. Not the game in general, but the Dyson sphere. I didn't know that was an idea that somebody had many moons ago. But
yeah,
this is. I know the idea of this series is to find a game that I wouldn't like, and then you convince me otherwise. This is literally the top end of that spectrum. Like with a lot of stuff like Wastelanders and stuff, like I'm not a big fan of, like, that's the point of all of this. I don't like RTS games. I don't like not so much simulation. I like simulation games, but honestly there's so much in this that, like, you've played 30 hours, which I don't think is a massive amount for what you traditionally play. Again, like, once you start playing a game, it's like 15 days have gone by and you've gone, I need to sleep. Like, the fact that you've managed to learn all of this in 30 days, 30 hours, days. Sorry. There's no way I would be able to play this game and enjoy it, because I would be mostly for my own fault, where I'd be like, oh, what the fuck do I need to do with this? Why isn't this working? I don't get this. Like, that's why I wouldn't enjoy it.
Like, that's the thing. That's the problem-solving aspect of it. So, like, for example, these superconductors here, supermagnets, sorry. Like, you need that. Like, they're a critical component in making another thing that I thought would be quite interesting. Or I needed them to make, like, that stupid thing over there. But to make those, you need that, which takes, like, 2 things, which also have 3 steps that make each of those. And then that, and then that. And then it's like creating a way to solve all of those problems and have them feed into one thing that creates it, so you can make something much bigger and much cooler, like an interstellar transport station. And then that will obviously adapt into going to other star systems and stuff like that. And I started with like solar panels and wind turbines, because that's all I could do. Whereas now I've got solar panels that are around the sun. It's like the escalation, and it's the work that comes from that, and it's fixing those kinds of problems. But the thing is, though, I think that with things like this, you do need to have the time. I don't think you could just sort of drop in and do 20 minutes and then drop back out again, because like there's been a bunch of times where I've just had to problem solve and just sort of go, well, how do I increase the number of stones that are going in there? And you go, oh god, well, I haven't got a stone reserve around here, so am I gonna have to fucking ship one out? Or, oh, there's one over here, maybe I can build a conveyor belt that just directly links up back over here. Like, it's trying to solve all of these problems, and these are the kinds of things that I like. But at the same time, I think that, so, you know, if there was a multiplayer element to this, if you could join and be another little mech and help me construct my Dyson sphere here, I think that you would be the biggest pain in the arse. Because if I said, right, I just need you to get a Mark II conveyor belt to connect the solar sails over to the crude oil tanks, you'd just be going...
Yep.
That's all you'd be doing. Because I know that you haven't got time to commit to get into it.
Well, that's where you're wrong, Dan, because you've mentioned a few times about problem solving, and the way I would solve this problem is I would never buy it.
Okay, well, I've got a problem, and let's see if you can solve this problem. So my crystal ore
We know the answer to this already.
I need refined ore for it, right? Now the input for the refined ore that I've got is this conveyor belt here, and that conveyor belt has a sorter that pulls from this conveyor belt here. Now that's connected to this storage unit, so that will pull from it all of the items that are put in the two storage units above it. Okay?
Yeah.
So, because again, this is all poorly. Again, for anyone watching, I know that this is probably making you fucking seethe, because it does me now that I realise how stupid I was. This should have all been in tanks, not storage units, because they like transfers like individual items like this rather than just a liquid. So, because I had so much refined oil that I didn't know what to do with, I just built these as like a quick fix. So they're getting stored into these ones here, but what I'm trying to do is empty these out. So I need the refined oil that's in all of these cases over here into these ones over here that then feed into this machine, as well as many others, like this one I think as well, yeah, that makes plastic. So I need to have all the oil coming from these ones into these ones, so it gets fed down this conveyor belt and feeds these two factories. How do I do that?
I'll just start again.
Right, delete. Right, let's just start again. No. But there's like, because this is the thing that I like about it, is because this was just half-assed put together just to solve a quick problem, to do a better thing for something that I wanted to do, or I wanted to upgrade my mech and power and whatever. And then you come back and you go, why the fuck did I do this? This is a mess. And like now, maybe I'll research some new things. So we go, okay, well, let's get rid of all the oil out of this, delete them all, get some tanks in there. Then we can have tanks feeding in properly into these, and then we can connect another oil pipeline. Why not? Let's just get that going in there as well. And then you fix that problem, and then you move on to the next problem. And you just keep on doing that.
There's a lot of problems.
There is, but the main one is, like, I love just like how big and stupid this is. Wait, why are those ships not working?
They landed.
Right, we've got a demand of 10,000 titanium. Right, I don't need logistics drones because they're local. Right, where's the bloody fourth planet in the solar system? Where's that, Callum?
It's just after the third one, but before
exactly,
the fifth
but
one.
We're the third one. So it's in a wider orbit around the sun, and I can't see where it is. Oh, there you are. So we've clearly got some sort of supply issue between Albiero 3, which is where I'm based, and Albiero 4, which is where all my titanium's coming from. This is my titanium planet. So
maybe
a lot of the more advanced stuff. No, there's billions. There's billions. Like, this is all this planet has on it. It's fucking titanium. But there's an issue. Why is the titanium stopped coming?
Because the ships have stopped.
Correct. Do you see what I mean? It goes backwards. So there's no more ships. Why aren't the ships working?
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Like, this is, I reckon you could give it, like, this is like a therapy tool. You know, if you're feeling angry, fix a problem. You're feeling a bit more angry, fix a problem.
I'll just put Doom on.
No.
That seems like...
Doom is instant gratification.
Exactly. That's what you want when you're angry.
No. what you need is something nice and peaceful. There's nothing more peaceful than gently flying through space.
What about
at
Stardew?
1,000 meters per second.
Or Animal Crossing.
Fuck Animal Crossing. No one cares
Animal
about
Crossing's fantastic.
Everyone's playing Dyson Sphere program.
Nobody's playing Dyson.
Well, kind of not really, which is a shame. I think
They're going to change
that
it to Dyson Arc Netherland.
I'm just hoping that they just keep it this same kind of like add in more planets and problems and like a black hole and stuff. I saw that in the star map. I wonder what kind of problems that's going to produce.
I assume there's enough people on it, I guess.
I'd imagine so. I mean, it's only like 15 quid on Steam, which I think is a perfectly reasonable price if you like these kinds of games, because there's clearly plenty to it already, but there's clearly a lot more that's due to come as well. Now, what I need to do is find my fucking structures. Where are they? Oh, they're on the bloody other hemisphere over here, mate. That's where they are. Oh, look. See, look, here's my little logistics drones. So I've got 2 titanium veins over here. So that's getting collated into these. That's getting pumped into this. And then the logistics drones, they fly it all over. And then they take it to the interstellar logistics station over here. But this is where my spaceships are coming from. It's a power issue. Now, why is there a power issue, Callum? I'll tell you why.
I don't read
because the orbit of this planet, obviously, as any planet, as it orbits, these things here, they're collecting the wireless power from the sun.
But the sun's not there now.
The sun's not there now, you see?
So you need to build the sun.
Well, I mean, one step at a time, mate. Now they are collecting power. That's what these like things coming down, these little pulses. So it will charge up the stations, but these things use 8.13 gigajoules, sorry. That's an exceptional amount of power. So that's why I need to have my main planet pumping more solar cells into the sun to generate more power, but there's obviously a certain amount of power that's dissipated because of the distance it has to travel. And so what's the best way? Do we put these power nodes on the other side of the planet, maybe? So there's always some of these facing the planet.
Both sides of the hemisphere.
Exactly. But then we've still got the dissipation problem. So then do we look into, okay, the ray transmission efficiency? Let's increase that. So that means that there's less power wasted whilst the power is travelling from the solar cells around the sun before they hit these things here. Also, where I built it on the planet, is this on the equator? Is this the most efficient place to have these nodes? No, probably not. And I dumped them here because I was desperate to get this stupid thing working so I could have a constant stream of titanium. But now I can't do that because every time the planet turns around, it runs out of power at the transport stop. You see what I mean? It's just a never-ending cycle of stress.
You just said it was relaxing.
Oh, mate, I love it.
Well, I'm definitely not convinced.
No, like I say, I think I just wanted to use this as a bit of an outlet to talk about.
Yeah, I'd have never seen this otherwise.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know. Again, other than people who are sort of into these kinds of games. Anyway,
well, I've never even heard of it.
So cool.
Like
building a city
with a lot of the stuff, like RimWorld and what's the other shitty space game you play?
I mean, there's many of them, mate. I don't know what.
We spoke about it the other day.
Elite Dangerous.
Elite Dangerous. Obviously, none of these are my cup of tea, my cup of cha. But I know that there are legions of people that are massively into it. But this, I've never heard of it. Never even heard of it.
It popped up. I think it was just sort of like a, you played this, you might be into this sort of thing. And I saw it and I was like, oh, Dyson Sphere. That's like, what's the deal with that? And then it's just like, oh, it's basically from day one, figure out a way to build a Dyson Sphere. And I was just like, oh, that sounds quite interesting. And it's really got me, if I'm honest.
It's definitely you, 100%. But whereas the majority of the Convinced Cows have been not so much a success, but so Wastelanders, I can see us playing Wastelanders.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Silicon Valley. It wasn't fucking Silicon Valley. What the fuck was it?
RimWorld.
No. But RimWorld, that was another. I wasn't convinced. However, if they added a multiplayer element, I was slightly more on board.
Well, if they added a multiplayer element to this, would you join on just to mine for me?
No.
What if I bought it for you?
No.
And made you do it? No.
There's the thing.
Honestly, I can't think of you doing anything, introducing anything to this other than aggravation.
Yeah, I mean, I would do it.
You do something wrong, you put one thing in the wrong place, and all of a sudden, half this shit doesn't work anymore because the main feed from the crude oil over here, you fucked up somehow.
I'd do it purely for like hilarity, and
which I'm not for something like this. There's no room for hilarity. Fucking piss my face off. Exactly.
That's why I would play this.
It's levels of stress that are untold.
But like RimWorld and Stardew Valley and stuff. Stardew Valley, I still don't count as a win because I'd already started playing it before we did the Convince Cal. But that was something that you just talked about to the point of like, well, I'll just fucking try it. Fuck it. And when Wastelanders, again, not for me, but watching it and stuff, it's something I could go, yeah, we could, if we did that together, then I'd give it a go. Whereas this, there is so much to it that I just hate it. I hate every fucking aspect of it. It's
as it's clear to most people now, Callum is obviously an absolute idiot. And
I'm not the one who's wasting oil.
I'm not wasting it. I'm just redistributing it. There's a difference, right? It's just that I need to figure out why are they all going through into that one.
I don't know. Figure it out, dipshit.
But they're going through that, and then they're getting fed back in. Oh, that's it. Because I was keeping a constant stream because it was building up too quickly. So I wanted the tank to fill up, which it has been doing so, but it's not feeding back over here. That's where the problem is.
You're the problem.
Don't worry, mate. We can fix this. We can fix this. No bloody problem.
No, I don't want it to be. I don't want to shit on it because it seems like if you're into this kind of thing.
Well, this is the thing. Ultimately, I'm not really like the sort of Factorio thing and the Stratisfaction or something.
It's from the same. It's from the same people, isn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. But like those sort of things, because I think it's just because that it's space and it's like building cool shit, and it's like, can I get to the point where I can build starships and stuff? That's where I want to be. That's awesome. But I'm not really, and plus, the price seemed like it was low enough for me to just sort of take a bit of a punt on.
I still think
if I tried it, it wasn't it for me. I'd be like
£10 are outrageous.
But clearly, this isn't just some basic shit that hasn't really been put together or thought through properly.
No, it's not. But I think that will also hinder it.
I think
this
that
isn't
the market
a game that markets itself to a huge amount of people, shall we say?
I disagree. I think that this would market itself quite well to the people that like these kinds of but structured factory whatever. Like, I don't think it would be advertised to the mainstream because if you're the person of the mainstream,
if you're me.
Yeah, then you see this and you go, I don't understand. And that would just be it.
I mean, I have sunk in more hours in Animal Crossing than you have in this.
True, but I've also only had this for like 2 weeks or something. So
I
think
see
if you
overtaking.
worked it out day to I've been up till sort of like 2-3 in the morning playing this. Just sort of like figuring out like why these stupid coal things aren't as efficient as they are, and why the bloody whatever this is, energetic graphite, I don't understand why it produces so slowly. It won't feed into these to generate enough power.
I'll tell you what though, just on about Animal Crossing very briefly, just to get a point across as to how into Animal Crossing I've got. The other day, I told Zoe, I was like, you need to get on Animal Crossing because you can buy turnips today. And she's like, ooh. So she's gone on, bought her turnips and stuff. And she's like, wonder how much we'll sell for these. I was like, you can't sell them today, can you? She's like, why? Oh, actually, yeah, I already know. It's Sunday. We can't sell turnips in the shop on a Sunday. I was like, no, we can't. And then I forgot to sell my turnips on the Monday, and I was at work and I was talking to Zoe, and she's like, did you sell your turnips? And I said, no. And she was like, it's alright, just do it when you get home. I was like, I can't, can I? She's like, why? Oh yeah, Tom's closed after 10 o'clock. But it's like just talking about it like the people that we know and stuff.
Yeah, or it's just things that everyone should know. Oh, of course the bank's shut on a Sunday, of course, yeah.
Like, she she was going to work the other day, and I was in the shop, and I was like, oh, they've got some red skinners, and she goes, oh, cool. She was like, I haven't got time to sign in and get them, and it'll be closed when I get back. I was like, it's fine, I'll get them now, and I'll just leave them outside for you. I bought them and just put them outside a door at a house on the island.
For God's sake.
But I could never get to that stage with this. I know obviously there's no shops, so I don't mean it like that, but I mean like it's just become part of like a daily. Actually, I haven't been on today, so that's a lie. But
no, and I'd say the same thing. It's like there's a few games that I've got. One of which maybe it's in another bloody account, maybe. It was between this and another one, but this seems it's only been out fairly recently in the last month or so. So I thought, get that fucking traffic in.
Plus, we haven't had a definitive no. I'm not convinced.
Well, I knew that this wasn't going to be right up your street, but I think it's good because like I don't like these things, so it's always good to have a little bit of exposure, because you might have been like, well, actually, like, sort of designing like an aesthetically pleasing way of all this working. That that actually might be quite interesting without worrying about like the functionality of everything and resource efficiency and whatever. It could just be something that makes you think that, oh, maybe these aren't quite the games that I thought they are.
Yeah.
Maybe these... But... Because, I mean, I'm not convinced that I like these types of games. I just know that I like this game.
Yeah, this particular.
And I want to see more from this game and what they developed for this. Also, this is all full of hydrogen, and I don't like it. I don't like having storage containers full of shit.
Anyway, we're going to wrap that up, Sunshine.
But, yes, there is some more... Convince Cal's coming up, because there's a few more games that I want to show you that seem to fit the criteria of it's like a second job, but it's the job that you enjoy, if that makes sense.
Oh, so
like Animal Crossing is just sort of like, you do your bit of fishing, your farming or whatever, and then you go and sell that to do whatever, and you do that every day because you know that you have to. Well, not have to, but you know what I mean.
You can't do nothing if you don't.
But it becomes like there's a level of consistency there where you just sort of like, well, I don't mind coming and doing that every day. And it is a chore, and it is repetitive, and it is what you would be doing at work, the same thing again and again or whatever. But that's the sort of thing I really quite enjoy. And there's quite a few games that I have that are like that, where it is, you just sort of coming in, tinkering, doing a few little things, and then you go off and watch a film or something.
Yeah.
And you sort of play around with a few things every day. Like real time doesn't obviously move within this. It's not like I could come back tomorrow and everything's changed.
Yeah. Because I think that's what happens in Factorio, isn't it?
Oh, is it?
I believe so. Yeah, I don't know a great deal about it, but I know enough that I never want to do a Convince Carl.
Well, I'm not prepared to pay the money for it, to be fair. But I don't know. Maybe if I get into this more, maybe I will look at sort of like what other types of games like this where it's just sort of like building and transporting and whatever. Is there anything else that might be
Theme
as
hospital.
interesting to me? This yeah, if you think this is Theme Hospital, this really was a waste of everyone's time, wasn't it?
It's a waste of mine.
This is as complicated as Theme Hospital. You are an absolute fucking
Hey,
idiot.
2 Point Hospital is on Game Pass. I noticed the other day. It may have been on there for quite a long time. But
it has.
I only noticed.
I mean, I
the
bought
other
it
day.
obviously,
but
it's that's a good bloody game as well.
Anyway, where can they see some more?
Way more complicated than that, I'm afraid.
Where can they see more Convince Cows and podcasts and animations and let's plays and reviews and more things?
You can have a look at the bottom of the screen, Callum, because it's right on there right now.
Oh my god, I can see it with my eyes.
Can you shut up while I'm reading something out, please? www.podcastversusplayer.com. That's where they go.
That's where they go.
Oh, maybe a little bit of pud then.
A little bit of pud, mate.
A little bit of pud then.
If I could like name towns or planets or whatever, I'm pretty sure I can, because you can do everything in this. But I might have to name like not a planet but a star, like an entire star that I want to turn into a Dyson sphere.
The Donosphere.
No, a little bit of pud.
A little bit of pud.
It's just like, can you just send some titanium over to that little bit of pud? It's just that would just be endlessly pleasing to me.
As long as if you can get it coded in.
Oh my god, the ships are off again.
So it plays that soundbite. I'll play it.
I mean, get the community on it, maybe. I mean, I can't imagine that the Venn diagram that covers both Auntie Donna and Dyson Sphere program. I can't imagine there being a huge, and those that can mod and are willing to do so for free as well. That's not going to be a huge cross section, really, is it? Look at that. Honestly, I just sit here for ages just watching these, just like put these things into orbit. It's so cool.
I did a count.
That's Dan.
I know I did.
Anyway,
I need a more efficient smelter. That's what I need, because this is just garbage.
let's get the hell out of Dodge.
Everyone, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for joining us on Dyson Sphere program. This is a brilliant game. If you're into the sort of Factorio building and transporty stuff, and you can afford it, I would genuinely. Was it frozen? Oh, it's saved. I would genuinely recommend this. This is a great little game. And Callum, thank you as always for joining us.
You're most welcome, sir. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks very much now. Goodbye.
Goodbye.